I'm Ann LeClaire. Welcome to San Mateo County, as fresh as it gets. We're taking you behind the scenes to meet growers, to meet vintners, to talk to goat dairy farmers. We're going to show you things that you've probably never seen before, and you're going to meet some amazing people. So today, I'm joined by Jered Lawson, the wonderful owner of Pie Ranch. He's just a great guy for those who know him. And Jered, we're dying to talk about Pie Ranch, but first, we're going to look at a couple of segments about a very unique local winery and a pretty unique local nursery. So why don't you join me in watching that?
Right.
And we'll be back to speak. We're here at Vino in Menlo Park, and I'm joined today by Giurlani, the founder of Vino, as well as Brian Caselden, who is a partner and winemaker of Woodside Vineyards, and Bob Mullen, who has been with Woodside Vineyards for quite a while as a founder of the company. 50th year, wow. So there's a lot to share. This is an amazing place. Let's start perhaps with the wine and talking about the wine. Woodside Vineyards has been around for how long, Bob?
Actually, I started making wine in 1960, but we got our license in '63.
Okay.
So in September, we'll celebrate our 50th anniversary.
Now, Buff, you mentioned something, though, about the vineyards being a little older.
Right. We have one of the vineyards. There's a wine in front of you called La Cuesta. And it was brought over and planted in 1884 from Chateau Margaux. It was the Rixford Winery, a famous one. Bob, why don't you say you know more of the history?
I just spent half a day there yesterday with the writer from Sommelier magazine.
Nice.
And so I'm kind of up on the history. And Buff's right. A gentleman named Emmett Rixford, who was an attorney in San Francisco, bought the property in '83 and planted the grapes in '84. He said from cuttings he brought over from Margaux, and farmed it. He and his sons farmed it and made wine there for up until Prohibition. And unfortunately, Emmett Rixford died during Prohibition, and his sons took over after that, but never succeeded very well, and so they sold the property for subdivision. Happily, a few families kept the grapes on their property. They divided 1 acre parcels, and so a lot of people kept a half acre of grapes on their property. And we still farm 2 of those, and that's what we make. On a year when the grapes ripen properly, we'll make just 50 cases of La Cuesta wine. And the way it's been going lately, that's only about every 3rd year. Other years we blend it in with our estate cab.
So how many acres of vineyards do you have? They're all in Woodside then, or?
We've expanded recently. At one time, they were all in Woodside. We're actually taking care of 36 properties right now.
Wow.
The furthest one away is in Saratoga, but almost all of them are in Woodside and Portola Valley.
Great. So, Buff, how did you get involved in this? It seems like you're a car guy. When did you become a wine guy?
I had to come up with a name for the cars, and I didn't like the names of classic car storage or anything like that. And a lot of self-storage facilities do wine storage, so I thought that I'd do wine storage, and then I came up with the Vino label. Then I was telling the local Ferrari dealer about it, and he got a hold of me and he says, "Hey, you got to get together with these other guys. They want to do a winery in cars." So I got together, met Bob, and we were negotiating a lease here. And Bob's a better salesman than I am, because he ended up selling part of the winery to me.
And apparently you started by buying a couple tons of grapes, or how did that work?
Oh, that's for our new Vino label, but we were down looking at some grapes in a vineyard in Corralitos. And the gentleman had some Italian varietals. So I had looked at that and expressed an interest, and Bob says, "Well, should we buy some?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And so they talked about a couple tons. And it, sounded like fun to me. And then Bob said, now, of course, if this doesn't go through, the deal doesn't go through, this was before I had bought into the winery, he said, you're going to get all the wine. So I said, well, how much does 2 tons make? And roughly 100 cases. So I figured, well, I could drink it before it goes bad. So there we are.
So Brian, you obviously are the expert at making the wine. How long have you been with Woodside Vineyards?
Woodside Vineyards, this is, I've been there for 23 years now.
Oh my gosh.
And we make everything here at the facility. All grapes are hand-picked, and the wines are handcrafted. Traditional techniques, and it shows in the wine quality.
So you have some award winners. Why don't you tell us about those? Which ones are you proudest of?
Geez, most of the wines that we enter do get some type of award, and it's hard to keep track of which ones are my favorite because it changes with the season. But I'm very fond of our Pinot Noir. It's very nice. It's very Burgundian in style. The Cabernet is nice, clean flavors. Everything grown in Woodside is really of high quality, so it makes my job easy. Grown here in this climate, we're a cool region, and the wines come out real nice. And of course, I'm very proud of La Cuesta. La Cuesta comes exclusively from La Cuesta grapes, and it's a very distinctive Cabernet from vines that are extremely old, and just a truly unique wine that deserves, always gets high accolades.
Right. And you distribute to restaurants, do you not?
Yes,
Okay.
distributes to restaurants in the area, mostly primarily the local restaurants in the area.
Right.
We like to visit the restaurants and eat at the restaurants that we supply.
Of course.
And it works out real nice.
And you have a wine club, so people are able to sign up for that. They'll see the website at the end. Let's come back to the facility for a minute, Buff, if we may. Is it true that you're not open to the public, are you?
We don't keep people out. If someone comes in, we'll give them a guided tour.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
But traditionally, it's private events that you would hold
Well,
here?
it's wine tastings, and then the cars are a backdrop. But everything we do here is a wine tasting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no particular hours for the public in terms of wine tasting and looking at the cars?
We're open on weekends.
Okay, great.
And then Thursday nights also for wine tasting.
And then there was something I saw, something new you're doing that has to do with a happy hour or at lunchtime? Or...
Yeah, we'll bring in this pizza oven, a mobile wood-burning pizza oven. So then there's some hamburgers cooked in a 900-degree pizza oven is fantastic. But obviously the wood-fired pizza done in the Italian style is excellent. We have a great chef who runs it.
And then you help people pair the wines with the food?
Absolutely.
Good,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much. This is an amazing place, and I hope all of our viewers get to come and see it and experience it firsthand, as well as your wine. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We're here in Pacifica with Nancy Davis, owner of Shelldance Gardens. Nancy, this is an extraordinarily beautiful place.
Oh, thank you.
It seems to be primarily orchids. Will you tell me a little bit about how you started the business and when?
Oh, golly. We started, myself and my business partner, Michael Rothenberg, in 1976 and have been going ever since. So that's almost 37 years now, doing something very extraordinary.
And how many varieties of orchids do you grow here?
We specialize, since we're located right here on the coast, facing we can't see it right through that door is the Pacific Ocean. So we specialize, as I say, in cool growing orchids, and with that I have thousands.
Thousands.
Thousands of orchids, all different genera,
Oh my
and all
gosh.
different types.
And who buys them? Is it mainly locals? Are they shipped elsewhere? What happens with them?
We are a favorite destination for people in the Bay Area. And so I would say that most of our customers are people who stop in on the weekends, see orchids, fall in love, have to take a bit of Shelldance home with them, and so thus the orchids go out the front door. Although we do ship So I do send the plants all over the United States, but most of it is carry out.
So then are you open for tours? Are they formal tours, or do people just come and wander through and see what they
Yeah.
like? How does that work?
I do it in two ways. People can go through the greenhouses on a self-guided tour. We have a lot of informational plaques throughout the greenhouses, so give a little background on plants that they might be seeing, and or history, cultural information, that sort of thing. Then we also do special group tours where people can contact us, and we'll set up a day during the week that they can come either with a school group or ladies group or a group, you know, anyone in sometimes in the industries, you know, different, looking for something to do.
So I understand you had a large sale to Singapore not long ago. Will you tell us about that?
Oh, that was really wonderful. We spent 1 year coordinating that order, well, that sale. We sold the major part of our bromeliad collection to the government of Singapore. And it's now, for anyone who's traveling around the world, they can stop in Singapore, go to the National Botanic Garden, and see within that orchid garden is a bromeliad garden, which was sponsored by Lady McNeice, and it has its own private crew of gardeners to take care of it. Gorgeous sculpture, so they found a great home.
And how many thousands of plants were involved in that when you did that?
I wouldn't exaggerate it if I said that there was maybe 15,000 plants.
Wow.
It was 3 plane loads that went over. And that was sponsored by FedEx.
Oh, okay.
And so that was something that the Singapore government was very grateful to that company for sponsoring the shipment, or covering the cost of the shipping.
And I believe I read something about your having been involved in a major motion picture with your orchids, or what was that?
Well, after 37 years, a lot of things going on, and since this plant family is so diverse, they kind of rather lend themselves to theatrics.
Sure.
And so our plants, I have to say, if you looked at the Star Trek movie, you would see our plants in it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
We've also had plants that have been the subject of books, like The Orchid Thief. And because we started way back in the day when all that orchid intrigue thing was going on. Of course, I didn't know what was going on. I was just learning about the plants.
So oftentimes people are afraid to own an orchid. They think it's difficult to maintain them or keep them alive. Is that true, or what's your opinion on that? Are they high or low maintenance, would you say?
I'd say there's an orchid for everybody. That's what I would say. There are difficult ones if you're the type of person who wants to fuss over and coddle a plant, and then there are some really easy ones that are very beautiful that would just love to be in, you know, just say the regular house.
I see.
So there's something like 50,000 different orchids. That's a lot of flowering plants.
Yes.
So within 50,000 plants, there's something for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there something to the idea that if you have an orchid, you just put in an ice cube a week and that's fine? Have you ever heard that? Oh, I thought I'd ask. Everyone
I saw on the
tells you
internet
to
that
do
they said that was the ice cube technique. And
so that's a bad thing.
Well, you know, after a long time of giving care instructions, I say if it's working, don't change it. You know, so go with if it's working. But I would hate to be watered by just one ice cube. I mean, if we just think about it, it's just a very small bit of water.
Yes, right.
And so I think it's better to water your plants when they need it, give them a good drink, and then let them go in between waterings.
Right.
So a good drink when they need it, better than an ice cube.
All right. Is there anything that I haven't mentioned that you would love to share with people about orchids in general before we wrap up?
Well, I think one thing I would like to share about Shelldance that I find I'm very proud of is that we are in process of maybe becoming a historic landmark.
Oh, great.
And that is because these greenhouses were built in 1949. So here on the coast, overlooking the Pacific Ocean, for all these many years, growing orchids in the tradition that the original builders had visualized at the time, because this is a really cool niche or a perfect niche, I would
Right,
say, for cool growing plants.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've got great view, we've got the perfect environment for many of the cooler growing, intermediate growing orchids. So thus we have a rich diversity.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for inviting us in today.
I'm
It's
glad
great.
you came. Thank you.
Nancy.
Yes.
So as you can see, we have some amazing people in the county and amazing growers and vintners. Jered's an amazing farmer. And will you tell us a little bit about Pie Ranch, that unusual name, and how it all got started?
Great, and thank you. Yeah, it's wonderful to be here. Thanks for inviting me and Pie Ranch. We're Pie Ranch because we're located on a pie-sliced shaped piece of land. It's our geologic fate that gave rise to the name. And we also wanted to choose a name of a farm that got at the ingredients that grow really well in our area on the coast, southern coast of San Mateo County. And so strawberries and apples and pumpkins, these are crops notorious for growing well in our area, and they're also wonderful for making pie.
I think I just have to hold one of these up. I mean, we have a whole, I know, don't want to make all the viewers jealous, but if you could see this produce, I mean, that doesn't even look real. It's so beautiful, and everything in this basket is amazing. So you started out and you grow strawberries, and what else do you grow?
Strawberries, in this case also rhubarb. We have perennials, so we have fruit trees for citrus, for lemon meringue pie, or also for, we add a little bit of lemon for the strawberry rhubarb pies. And we have apple trees. We also have animals for their eggs, for their milk, for the butter, and for the meat as well.
So those are not your standard white eggs by any stretch of the imagination?
Yeah, we love the diversity of breeds that are available, the heirloom varieties of hens there, that we can have this kind of diversity also of egg color as well.
So when you started the ranch, or the farm, the ranch, was it just to grow your own food, or was the educational component in there? What was your primary reason?
Right. Yeah, my wife, Nancy Vale, and I, from the beginning, we wanted to have a farm not just be for commercial production, but really to help be a source of education for urban youth in particular, but also all of us who, over the last number of generations have lost that connection to where our food's coming from. So for us, it was really to leverage this small farm to help be a place for food and farming education.
And how many acres is Pie Ranch?
27 acres
27
now.
acres.
We started on 14.
Okay. And I know you started out with the strawberries, right? And then
Right.
gradually expanded, and now
Yes,
you're growing wheat. Not many
as
people have
well
seen
as
wheat up close.
Yeah, we grew wheat from the beginning because it is the foundation of any pie. So we kind of are obligated to grow wheat, but it also is a wonderful educational crop because it's sort of where agriculture all began.
So I know we're going to tie it all together by talking about the pies later, but what about the educational part of Pie Ranch? You have students out there periodically, right?
Great. Yes, we have every week there are youth groups who come out. We have partner high schools that we work more regularly with. One's in San Francisco, Mission High, one and two are San Mateo County ones, Oceana High and Pacifica, and then our local Pescadero High.
And how does that work for your partner high schools?
Yeah, so we have long-term relationships with teachers and administrators at the school, and then students during their whole tenure. So we'll have students come in as ninth graders and come back for repeat experiences on the farm.
And most of them have never been on a farm, let alone in the country, right?
A lot haven't. Most haven't. There are some that come are recent immigrants who are coming from more of an agricultural background, but yes, most are folks who have not even left maybe their neighborhood that much. It might be the first time they've gone down the coast from the city.
And do they stay over? Do they just come in for the day? What's their routine like?
Most are day trips. We will start in the morning with orientation on the farm, tour activities that are farm-based. We'll split up into groups. Some will do an activity, maybe planting, weeding, harvesting. Others will be in the kitchen helping to prepare a meal for their classmates. And so some will be on the savory side preparing the entrees for the lunch, and others will be on the baking side working to develop the pinnacle of what we do, the pie, for dessert.
And then do the people who pull the short straws get the weeding job? I would think that's the lowest on the list, right? They don't want that.
Yeah, but since they come back regularly, there's the opportunity for everybody to have
Is there a pecking order a little bit? The veterans don't have to weed? Is that
no, and I think part of the fun, it may be challenging work here and there, but if you haven't done it, it's the kind of activity that I think that people enjoy doing, just having your hands in the soil and working with your friends, and it brings out part of us that I feel like has been missing. We have that disconnection to nature, to where our food comes from, and farms are this great place to make that reunite.
Well, you're always so passionate about what you do, and I'm sure our viewers can see that. And I remember when you were very passionate about a new product you had that you put together as a fertilizer machine. You want to tell us about that?
What came first? I don't know, the
Yeah,
chicken.
right, the chicken.
But the chicken definitely has something else that it gives us besides eggs. And so the fertility, our goal as an educational farm too, is to teach farming practices that utilize the best of what nature has to offer. And historically, our farms have relied on animal fertility, and still to this day, a lot of the other growers that you may get the chance to interview or visit, are bringing in chicken manure from the Central Valley, and we thought, well, maybe a healthier version of that would be to have our own chickens fertilizing the fields, and at the same time getting a tasty product out of them.
And it's a
as
mobile
well.
fertilizer, right? I mean,
So,
will you describe it for people?
Sure.
It's a little hard to.
Yeah, it's like a gypsy wagon. It's an old artichoke harvest trailer that we've converted into a chicken coop that can pull about 150 hens through these pasture strips that will, after 3 to 4 years as being actively resting, we'll turn that into our food-producing ground that will grow the berries and the wheat and
So maybe that's the last job on the list. Maybe weeding is above that. Maybe pushing the chicken fertilizing machine is the lowest
luckily,
job
it's,
on the list.
as it's a harvest trailer, the tractor can gets to do that.
I see. So how does the pie making component come in? Let's tie it all together.
Sure. Well,
in 2 ways, I believe, with Mission High School and then also with the farm stand, which we'll get to. But
right. Well, we had the need to develop a commercial kitchen so that we can sell the pies at the roadside barn, which is also our farm stand that we have open now 4 days a week, and it's our chance to share what we're doing with the public, not only just to have produce available in the pies, but also as a teaching experience an educational experience for the apprentices who work with us, who are learning about small-scale diversified farming.
So how are the pies? So they're making them now on-site at Pie Ranch and then selling them in the farm stand?
For our educational program, we make them on-site as a part of our activities, but because we do not have a commercial kitchen on-site, we work with a commercial baker in Santa Cruz, a companion bake shop, and they take our ingredients and transform them into pies that we have the ability to sell to the public.
So you had mentioned your farm stand is open 4 days a week. Which 4 days are those? And what are the hours? I'm sure after people have seen this basket, they're going to line up.
Great. Thursday through Sunday. On Thursday and Friday, it's from 12 to 6, and on Saturday and Sunday, it's from 10 to 6.
And is that year-round, Jered?
That is now year-round.
Nice. Good for you.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a great.
And I know you have a lot of products in that store aside from your produce and the eggs and the pies. You've had some specialty flowers now that people can buy?
We grow flowers. There's also on the land around us historically is a flower growing area, and so there's still some leftover bulbs from the 80s that we have, some Watsonias and other cut flowers. We also, one of our apprentices did his own olive pressing this last year,
nice.
And so we have his olive oil available.
And I've seen milled flour, actual flour for baking in there. I don't know if you still...
Yes,
right?
and definitely. So we offer fresh milled flour as well. So all the ingredients that you would need to make a pie.
So Jered, just very quickly, I know we're wrapping up, but you have a vision for the farm in terms of making it a historic landmark or updating the facility. Will you tell us about that? I know you've been trying to do some fundraising.
Yes, well, it's kind of a unique opportunity this year. It's the 150th anniversary of the Steel Ranch.
Wow.
The farmstead been there since the Steels arrived and built the house in 1863. So it's already listed on the National Register of Historic Places. But being 150 years old, there's a lot of restoration work that needs to happen. So we're engaging the public in helping us
Great.
achieve that goal.
Well, we're going to put your website on at the end of the show so people can find you, and it will also be on the Fresh as It Gets website. But thank you so much, Jered, for being with us. It's always a pleasure to see you and to hear your excitement in what you do.
Oh, thank you, Anne. It's a pleasure to be here.